Greetings, it's Terra Illumination. It's Friday night, 8th of September 2023. I'm not quite sure how to start this or where to go. I'm all over the place, as you can kind of see. I feel it's the Saturn in Pisces retrograde as we get very close to the 0 point. I wanted to talk about animals. I've been getting bombarded with animal feelings, animal energy. Primarily cows, pigs, chickens, and seafood. For whatever reason, it's happening. And I'm not in a state of emotional turbulence or rage, but I'm definitely being triggered. It's because we're at a state right now here on our beautiful planet where there are very obvious symptoms of, I guess you could call it saturation. There's different ways to describe it in science. When I was a kid, I did a lot of science, biology, math, physics, chemistry, and things like that. And there were proper terminology for these things. Archaeologists, geologists, they have different terminologies, but you can also describe it as a climax population. It's like the island of Madagascar. Before it was populated by humans, it was a very, very rich, dense, massive island just saturated with trees. Massive, massive trees up to the sky, and an extremely violent world underneath as other trees tried to grow and survive and take over and have their chance at light and life. And then of course humans came along and changed all of that. There was a lot of tree cutting and so-called the civilization of Madagascar. But that's just one tiny story. The things that really, really got me today, I'm just trying to get this short and sweet. I have to get it out of me like a flush, you know. I was reading today about how there's massive new pressure from the big corporations, the big anonymous, well, they're not anonymous, the big global elite corporations that are trying to restructure the world according to their agenda at the expense of we the people. And I have a lot of family in farming, and there's a sort of a cattlemen's association or something like that. I don't remember the name of it, but it's basically a group of several million cattle farmers in the United States whose lives are being crushed by the corporate agenda, because there's only about 4 big buyers, end processors for meat. And eventually these cattle farmers, like it or not, they have to sell through the process and take their beautiful cows to the slaughterhouses in this manner. And it didn't used to be that way. Everything used to be very localized. You could get your fresh beef from your fresh local butcher, from your fresh local farms and fresh markets and so on. And it's changed because we have places like Smithfield, which is, I think it's partly or mostly owned by China, and so on. It's all over the world, this like multinational agglomeration of food. And the idea is that the folks at the very, very top who are trying to control and own everything, they're perfectly aware that we're at a kind of a saturation point, a climax point with human population, where eventually it becomes awkward. Now, some people believe we can just expand into infinity. We have an infinite supply of food. We're very, very good, especially in America, at growing, making, and shipping and processing food and all of that. Depends whether you like it or not. Some countries are different. But anyway, it kind of works from the corporate level, because you can get oranges and fruit juice and plums and bananas all year round. You can get beef, pig, all of that stuff. You know all that already. But what's happening is with the cattle farmers associations, they're being brutalized by the corporations to the point where even agglomerated into a couple of million farmers under one, let's say, legal entity, they still can't fight the big agro meat corporations. And so we're seeing, especially here in the United States, we're seeing the war between Mercury in Cancer 27 degrees versus Pluto in Capricorn 27 degrees. In other words, massive corporate power, obsessive lust for power, money, and control over anything and everything relative to the sovereign wealth of the individual, the small family farmer. It's just this brutal war. It's never ending. And what's happening is that I think we're reaching a crush point where the astrology is going to become so extreme where there will be some kind of backlash, and the massive global corporate agenda has a possibility of faltering to the point where they may not be able to enact their agenda, whatever it is, the 2030 meat-free, methane, cow fart-free agenda. Whatever that looks like, I don't know. I know that in the Netherlands, the farmers have been destroyed by the global agenda. So it's very tragic, and it could happen here. It is happening here to some degree. I don't know if it's going to be a total ultimate destruction or whether there will be a comeback for the farmers and the growers who grow the cows and the pigs and the chickens and the turkeys and the sheep and the goats and the fish. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm feeling it in here as though it's a very, very distressing thing. The most distressing thing to me personally is some of the miserable conditions in which the animals have to live. And there's a lot of packaging and marketing that goes along in this country, in America, to try and convince the consumers of meats and fish and seafood that, oh, it's a wonderful life, it's a beautiful life, happy cows, happy pigs, happy chickens, happy fish. But they never really show you what actually happens in the mass production, farming, and harvesting of these animals. I think they call it protein processing. Anyway, it's kind of disturbing. I got a couple notes here I wanted to pull up for you as well. Give me a second. I'm just reading from some notes earlier. Again, this kind of really, it just hits me right here, and I have to vent. I'm sorry, I don't know where to vent and how to vent, except for what I'm doing right now. I just read how there finally is an agreement, well, not an agreement, but there's an attempt by certain animal rights associations to try and force the big media giants to suppress, curtail, block, delete, punish people who traffic in videos and content which are all about the killing and torture of animals, basically for fun. I didn't even know that kind of content existed. I know there's some disgusting content out there, humans on humans, what humans do to others, and there's some beautiful content about the love exchange between humans and animal and plant life. But it never even occurred to me for some reason that there would be a lot of content regarding animal torture and animal killing for sport, for fun. But apparently it's out there, and these animal rights groups are trying to force the media companies to completely block it down, shut it down, and punish the purveyors of this disgusting material and content. Some of you probably know that if I ever encountered one of those purveyors of such disgusting content, I would be more than happy to act as judge, jury, and executioner I don't know if I can even say that without getting a video flag, but we'll see anyway. So I wanted to share that. So apparently the content is still out there and it's available if you're interested. I'm not. I just hope that I don't know what to say. Every day I'm astounded about the filth and the evil that human beings are capable of doing, just for sport, for fun. They can't. It's like a compulsion. They can't help themselves. It's like a drug. They get hooked on it. They get hooked on blood, violence, all that stuff. I could rant on even more. I'm not a very big fan of cockfighting, bullfighting, pit bullfighting, rodeos, all those things where animals are, greyhound racing, all those things where animals are put under extreme duress, mostly for the entertainment of humans to the detriment of the animal. Anyway, on that miserable note, I wish you a happy evening. Take care.